Steve.
Hi, how's it going, Linda?
Good.
So what's up today?
Well, I really want to start investing in gold, not just silver. And I just don't know where to start. I get a little overwhelmed.
Well, there's quite a few different options in gold. I can explain some of them to you.
That'd be great.
So your basic 1 ounce pieces are usually the most economical way to get it. This is like a Cougaran.
Oh, okay.
This is what they call a Panda. Okay. And then these are maple leafs. And of course there's also like American Eagles. This is a 1/2 ounce one.
Okay.
And so this is from Canada, this is from China, this is from South Africa, this is from America. And there's quite a few other 1 ounce ones too. There's 1 ounce buffaloes. Basically, they all have the same amount of gold in them. But like an American Eagle and a Cougaran actually weighs a little bit more, but it has 1 ounce of pure gold in it. And the maple leaf and the Panda have exactly 1 ounce of gold in them and weigh exactly 1 ounce. So they're pure gold. Some cultures prefer pure gold. So that means something to them, so they're pretty popular in other countries other than our own, and even now a lot of times they're very popular. So those are your 1 ounce gold pieces, and the way it usually works is you'll notice on here it says plus $45.
Okay.
So if you were buying one maple leaf, it would be the spot price of gold, would say that was $12.55, and you added $45 to that, it'd be $1,300 an ounce.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and that's called the premium above spot. So if spot is $12.55, you add $45 to it, that's $1,300. So these can be more or less expensive than that depending on the quantity and the demand for the item that particular day or minute even. You also have different sizes. So like here we showed you like a 1/2 ounce, but there's also 1/4 ounce size, and there's also 1/10 ounce size. And these are all modern bullion coins.
Okay.
But there's also other things that are just bullion, like 1 ounce bars. They're just bullion. And so they don't have an amount associated with them. Like this is 100 won. This is $50 Canadian, and this, if it was 1 ounce size, would be $50 US. So they all have a denomination or an amount of money. They're all made by a government. So this is bullion coin. They're all modern. But there's also other things like US $20 gold pieces. These were minted pre-1933, and at the time they were $20. So these are gold coins, which are gold, but they were actually used for $20. So these are actual coins that were used. But now they have almost 1 ounce of gold in them. They have 0.9675 ounces of pure gold inside of them. And so these are kind of cool because they're older. They have a little bit of numismatic value associated with them. And right now the premiums are pretty low. So there isn't a lot associated with them. Like, for example, you could buy this particular one for less than the 1 ounce maple leaf.
Okay.
So it's actually cheaper, but it has a little less gold in it. And sometimes this premium is higher and sometimes it's lower. If there's an excess amount of product or there isn't a lot of demand for it at a particular time, then this can be the better deal. Sometimes this can be a better deal. In my opinion, the best deal is getting the most amount of gold for the money.
Sure.
But I do not like bullion pieces that are just bullion, like one ounce pieces, because these are fine because they're bullion coin. But the other, like the bars, are harder to authenticate.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we have the right equipment, obviously, we can do that for you, it's not a problem. The premiums are lower, but they don't necessarily fit in all categories. Like, for example, you can go across the border. There's $50 on it.
Right.
So you're going into Canada, that's $50 Canadian. So if you can take $10,000 across the border,
Sure.
you could argue that you could take 200 of these across the border. And same with this is $20, so you could do that.
Okay.
Also, some retirement accounts and things are actually more receptive to having the major bullion coin pieces,
Right?
as opposed to just bullion. And they're easier to authenticate, which is the real reason that I like them.
Okay.
They're more popular. People tend to gravitate one over another. It really, bottom line is, if I'm selling the Cougaran for 45 over and this for 45 over, but the Panda for 75 over, I'm just paying $30 more for the Panda when I buy it. So I make the same amount of money, but you want to get, as much bullion as you can for the money. So maybe you want to steep to something that's less expensive.
Okay.
We even have 3/9 maple leafs as opposed to 4/9 maple leafs. That refers to the purity. This is 3/9 pure, this is 4/9 pure. And 3/9 pures have essentially less than $1 difference in the price, or $1.25 difference in the price in terms of the gold, but they're frequently less expensive.
Oh, okay.
It's just less popular.
Sure.
And it's a meaningless amount of money. So, that's another way that you can save money if you can find them, is to buy the older ones that have 3/9 purities. And then, of course, then you want to talk about size. Well, gold can be almost any size you want. I mean, they do make them in 1/31st of an ounce. So the 1 gram bars, they make them in 1/20ths. This is 1/10th. So you can buy them in all different sizes. But when you buy them in smaller sizes, the premium tends to be higher relative to a 1 ounce piece. So you got to pay a little extra for that. So normally what people do is they get a little bit of smaller denominations, and then when they get to a certain level that they feel comfortable with the smaller amount they had, say for trade or whatever,
Sure.
then they switch to the 1 ounce pieces because they're more economical.
Okay.
So this is like $17 over, and this is 45 over. So if that was 10 of them, this would be 170 over per ounce, and this is 35 over per ounce.
Okay.
So even though we pay more for these, we make about the same amount of money. You can again own more gold at this level.
Okay.
And also, it would be wrong of me not to mention that you can also get certified U.S. gold pieces. So these are uncertified ones, but this one's actually graded on a scale of 1 to 70. It's graded 64.
Okay.
And right now the premiums on them are quite low. But what the right decision is sometimes depends on what's the best deal of the day. So
Sure.
sometimes these are real expensive relative to gold. Other times they're not that much over what you would normally pay. So right now, if you pay $1,300 for a nice raw one, we'll call it, this one's $13.25. You can get a certified one for $13.60.
Okay.
And gold is $12.50.
Right.
It really, it doesn't make any sense to buy this when you can buy this.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you want to buy them in major holders, like PCGS holders
Okay.
or NGC holders. Those are the two main companies.
Okay. Good to know. And this is a better investment than me just buying jewelry or just buying.
Well, jewelry, if you're buying jewelry from a coin dealer who acknowledges the basic intrinsic value, a lot of people prefer the jewelry. It does have a little more premium, like a St. Gaudens or whatever.
Okay.
But we buy jewelry all the time, and a lot of people like to wear their jewelry and make use of it. So as long as the premium isn't a huge amount above the price
Okay.
of gold,
Sure.
this can be a good choice too. Also, people use it when they're crossing borders,
Right?
so they can wear it,
Sure.
so it's personal property
Okay.
rather than monetary asset.
Wow. Beautiful.
This is like money, it's just in a different form,
Okay.
an intrinsic value form. So if you're taking a bit of money from each check, so to speak,
Sure.
maybe you want to take something that you can afford, still comfortably pay your bills and live, and then take into account what your total net worth is, and then work towards that or dollar cost average into it by coming and buying, a piece every week or every month
Great.
or every quarter, whatever you feel like doing.
And gold is still going up, right?
Gold fluctuates up and down. It's really the US dollar that's going up and down. It's not gold that's going up and down.
Okay.
That just makes it worth more or less. And more worthless Federal Reserve notes become, the more valuable gold becomes.
Oh, great.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a perception thing, and it's going to move around. A lot of people say that, an ounce of gold bought the same thing 80 years ago that it buys today.
Wow.
So it's a way of preserving assets, not necessarily growing your assets, although sometimes people get carried away with gold and it goes up more than it should in a particular period, and then you want to sell it and capitalize on that. But at the same time, gold is something that is used to preserve your assets, not speculative money.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that.
You bet.